Welcome to the very first episode of the Cosmic Book Club. I am your host, Goon the Unending, and this is Kelvin, aka the Noodle Doodler. Noodle Doodler, how was your commute? How did you manage to get here to a space perpendicular to the normal flow of time?
It was tricky at first. What I ended up having to do was I found a little game called Minecraft, and it had a bit of a blueprint for me. So I got 9. How many is it? Yeah, you do it. I lost the joke. You could do it 10 full 3x3 bricks of obsidian, and I lit those on fire. And somehow I ended up here, either through a portal or fainting from smoke inhalation. Who will know?
That makes a lot of sense. Go ahead and tell the viewers a little bit about yourself. Why should they care about your Dungeons and Dragons opinions or TTRPG
about my
opinions?
Dungeons and my Dragons? I'm Kelvin, aka the Noodle Doodler. I get the so far yet to be proven false acclaim that I created D&D TikTok, as far as I'm aware. With the exception of one audio called Suddenly Bears. I believe I was the first person to start regularly making D&D TikTok content. We all remember Suddenly Bears.
I remember Suddenly Bears.
There was Suddenly Bears, and then there was me.
Yeah. In the beginning, there was Suddenly Bears, and then there was Noodle.
and then God said, "Let there be Noodle," and there was Noodle. Anyway, not only did I do that, I wasn't the person who got Goon into D&D, but I feel like I am a large reason why he stuck with D&D. You can deny that if you want.
It's cool. Saga really saved the hobby for me in a lot of ways. So yeah.
Yeah, which was a show we made that never finished because I got really depressed and had a severe mental breakdown. Maybe I'll work on it one day, but I always say that.
That's fine. It's cool. Don't worry about it. So today, it only makes sense that the very first episode of the Cosmic Book Club, a show about the love of TTRPGs, and to a lesser extent, just Dungeons and Dragons, that we talk about character creation. What character creation is when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons, it's mainly about rolling out your stats, picking your class and your race, and just rolling out your stats is a huge part, specifically Dungeons and Dragons, and a lot of long form TTRPGs like Pathfinder or Vampire the Masquerade and stuff like that. But for smaller form TTRPGs like One Pages by the absolute mad lad Grant Howitt, character creation can be as simple as choosing 3 things and giving them a number. And so, circling back to what Dungeons and Dragons character creation is about, I a while back had this really, I think it's a cool idea, and I mainly asked Noodle onto, this is the Trash Chronicles Show Bible, there's the Goonpendium. I mainly asked Noodle on here so I could introduce him to this idea that I had and wanted to vet whether or not it was actually like a good idea. So I'm calling this, it's like, this is one of the first things you do in your campaign, specifically for the Session 0 character creation thing, and I'm calling it the upbringing coin toss. The very first thing you do, you flip a coin. On heads, you pick your class, and on tails, you proceed to the next step. I wrote this in the form of a flowchart. Good job, me. This is gonna read excellent. But yeah, on heads, you go ahead and pick your class before you roll your stats. And on tails, you don't. You wait until after you've rolled your stats.
After picking your class, number the 6 stats 1 through 6, then roll a d6. So that would determine which stat you roll for first. I'm adding a lot of extra randomness. It will so when you roll the d6 to choose which stat you're rolling for, the number that you roll next, the 4d6 dot the lowest 3 roll ones, is for, so for example, you roll a 6 on the d6 and now you're rolling for your charisma stat. Now whatever you roll for your 4d6 drop lowest reroll ones, you have to put that in charisma. And so on and so forth until you have all of your stats statted out. So if you
had picked your class before you rolled your stats, you might have screwed yourself. And if you pick your class after you roll your stats, there's a much lower chance that you've screwed yourself. And the idea behind this is that not every character, not every person is raised in an environment that is nurturing to their skills that they're born with, the traits that they're born with. Um, so, for example, if you chose to be a cleric, um, but you before you rolled your stats and your wisdom is dog water, you were just unlucky and you were born into the cleric path, but cleric is not necessarily what you're. This is obviously, this could have a huge like hindrance on the math of the gameplay. Um, and so you roll up a cleric, your wisdom's dog water, but your charisma ends up being good. Now you have the narrative opportunity to discover that maybe it's not like the guidance part of being a religious figure or whatnot, but the maybe it's the leadership and like the community and like the defending of that. Maybe you transfer from being a cleric and then later on take points into paladin going on, and so you start with an imperfect scenario like a seed in bad soil, and then eventually you grow into something better. I just wanted to know, are there any problems that I'm not seeing? Because I'm in love with this idea.
So, to start with like some pros, first of all, I love any sort of chaos. This also, I think, helps with people who just do not know what to play.
Right.
I've met so many people like, well, like, but what should I? And then they just sit there forever. I have taken now to these days, like just rolling a die to figure out what class I'm gonna be because I've played all of them to death. I think this would be a fun way to handle it. Another thing that I really like about this is I feel like not enough people understand the joy of being a character who is not good in D&D. I feel like a lot of people play D&D and they want to be like these powerful, heroic demigods slaying their way through dungeons. And I think the most fun I've had in a lot of D&D sessions is like, oh fuck, we're outmatched, we gotta run. Like to anyone who's been listening long enough to do like ES Pizza, like when my characters, spoiler alert for end game of ES Pizza,
Oh my god.
when my dad turned into a demon, it's that moment like fuck, what are we gonna do? Like,
Right.
and that moment of like feeling like we can't just fight him right now was, I think, a really great moment. And right now the only thing that I really dislike about it, and it's not even really a dislike, it's just I think the more rules you add to it, the more complicated it gets, the more you tend to lose, like, newer players or players who
Yeah.
aren't used to a certain
I
complexity.
could.
The only real change I think I would make is instead of rolling a die to see which attribute you do, just do it in order. Just do strength, then dex, then
Yeah.
con, then int, then wits, then cha.
Yeah, that does seem like an extra bit.
Yeah.
I kind of felt that way as I was just reading it out loud.
It doesn't sound, yeah. It doesn't really make it more random. It just makes it different random, it feels
Right.
like.
Yeah. Yeah, that
And
makes
it's
sense. You're
adding an
already
extra bit to the rolls.
yeah. What I have like the Goompendium here is a document that I have just full of the character seeds that I'd like to play or do either
Yeah, we all have
in
it. I
Dungeons
have
and
a notebook.
Dragons or in like writing and whatnot. What about a character or a concept that you come up with usually excites you the most to play them?
I'm going to answer that in a sec, but I'm going to grab my equivalent to the Goonpendium.
You
Just for
have a
the sake of
Goompendium,
this.
but like it'd be
I don't call it that.
is it a
I just call it
nudipendium?
my notebook. That's a great name.
The
It's just a
nudipendium.
notebook. It's just a notebook my sister got me one year for my birthday.
Nice.
And I just write all a bunch of D&D ideas and stuff
My handwriting
in
is too shit
here.
to do that, so I need a
Yeah.
digital document.
One of my favorite things is one of the first sentences in this notebook. It was actually for Saga, because that gives you a good timeline of when it was. It just says cat pirates, question mark.
Cat pirates! I love cat pirates. A flashback to Dandy Jack from Beastmasters of Paternia, the first campaign that I did in a video podcast format. He was a tabaxi pirate. I love that idea.
Yeah, we love cat pirates. Anyway, I apologize. What was the question that you asked before I went and got my
Like when
notebook?
you come across like I find myself just smashing words together in my head a lot of the times, and sometimes they're character concepts that like spark joy in my um that spark joy in my heart, and they make me really excited. Like for example, I have a Fae, like the second. Oh wait, no, this is actually the very first entry into the Goonpendium. Here is a Fae Hexblade Warlock Bard. And underneath is Dolly Parton is the mother of butterflies and is the patron. The hex weapon is an ornate acoustic guitar. Acoustic guitar.
So the way I like my favorite way to come up with a character concept before I start making a character is to describe, especially for low-level campaigns where I need the character to have room to grow, is I like to describe the character with a very badass description, or at least a pretty cool one, and then end that. Make sure the sentence ends with "but he kind of sucks" or "but she kind of."
But she
So
it kind of sucks. So for example,
yeah,
Johnny is your typical teenage heartthrob. He knows the cool skateboard tricks and plays guitar. But he kind of sucks.
but he kind of sucked. Yeah, he's kind of late. Like he's kind of annoying
late.
to be. Yeah, no, that's like that was part of what happened with DJ again in ES Pizza. I'm not talking too much about Crash Chronicles because we're still doing it.
That should be. Hey,
yeah, yeah.
this is going to be the first episode. It's not going to drop until after Trash Chronicles is over. So.
Oh, perfect. Well,
Excellent.
all right. Well, yeah. Well, both of them then. Because so yeah, DJ was like, what if this person was like always able to see the truth? You know, I started making him a little bit when I first, this sort of investigative truth seeker who can always tell when people are lying, but he kind of sucks. He kind of just smokes weed and makes pizza all day. Like,
right. The archetype for him in the handbooks for Monster of the Week, which was the system for that, was he was the creep.
The flake originally.
Okay.
He got a class change, but he got a class
change. Yeah, he became like the chosen, right?
Yeah, or the angel, or
the
something.
Angel. That's right. Gotcha.
Yeah. Because his mommy was an angel.
Because his mama was an angel.
She was an angel.
If I'm gonna be completely honest, there's a few like narrative threads there that I'm not 100% satisfied with, because I kind of feel like I Deus ex mommed you a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of happened all at once because we were coming near the end of the season.
Right.
If anything, I'd like to explore old mom more in a season 2, but we're not doing that yet. That's a later project.
That is a later maybe project that is gonna
who knows.
It's gonna happen. I did like ES Pizza. If we want to keep talking about ES Pizza, I liked.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna keep peppering it in.
Well, that's fine because we're talking about character creation, and ES Pizza had a lot of really great characters. One of my favorites, of course, being Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah. Oh, there's a new thing I now do because of our experience with ES Pizza. And we got to do it again in Roots when I do session zeros, which is if I'm playing if I have a party where the characters know each other, which almost always is the case, I now have each person say sometimes one thing, sometimes two things that they like, moments that really matter to that character.
Yeah, that's
to each person, which was
that's part of the session zero setup as part of the Monster of the Week,
and that's the thing. Yeah,
that's very good. And that's something that system does very, very well and helps. I do think if I was gonna get someone into TTRPGs as a hobby, I would actually start with Monster of the Week. I wouldn't start with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
and that
Monster
maybe
of the Week is pretty rules light. It lets you do a lot though.
A whole lot, yeah.
And it's mostly, despite being called Monster of the Week, it's mostly about your connection to other characters. Like the individual monsters we fought did not matter as much as like the weird adversarial but not essentially
the gravity falls
we
of
had
it all.
with Norman and things like that. Like
yeah. I'm still extremely embarrassed about the episode we didn't air when I got high.
I love that. It would not have made sense with the rest of the story that came forth, but that lost episode is great.
It's fabulous. I was embarrassing.
It was also I feel like we got the Mothman out by literally dragging him out or something really simple instead of fixing the orb or some shit
like that. Yeah. Cotton Eye Joe actually came out of necessity, as so many of my characters do, the second they existed in the narrative. Like the second that
Blaze, I believe,
Blaze's
said.
character needed a tailor. Cotton Eye Joe exists, and I was like, okay, I need a tailor in a weird town where some people are monsters. Clothing, cloth,
Yeah.
moths like cloth. Mothman, he's the Mothman. Let's go,
Yeah.
Cotton Eye
I think that's
Joe.
yeah. But yeah, no, like if I going forward now, I want like my players to like have the like just even the small stuff like the fact that Moss had shows that DJ had shown them like a really cool knife once, which is a really dumb throwaway thing.
Right.
But the fact that that like stuck with oh fuck, what's the character's name? I only remember DJ because it's 2 letters. Okay, let's see.
DJ
It
Juniper
was DJ.
and
Juniper, yeah, and then Justice Jackson.
Justice Jackson. Y'all chose J
Yeah.
names, and then
We really
the
said
next
fuck
season
you.
we had Ronnie and Ruby.
Ronnie
Which
and
is
Ruby. Well, yeah,
Fine because
Yeah, and,
you're
like-
related, I guess.
yeah. Which even that was like because we had built the previous game on connections. I was like,
Yeah.
Moss, we're the 2 people coming back. How do we want to be connected? And I think we had played with like the idea of being rivals before we ended up being siblings.
Okay. I think that's adorable. And
Yeah,
then
we- yeah.
in a way, siblings are the ultimate rivals.
Yeah, no, because I think that's what happened. Because I think we went from like rivals to sibling rivals to just siblings over time. Because I DM'd Moss and I was like, "What are we gonna do?" And we talked about it for a long time before coming to you.
Yeah. There's a whole lot. The Slime Baron. I think I had a rough idea. I knew that I wanted an enormous toad, as
Who
the
doesn't?
kingpin of the Underdark. But I also didn't realize that it doesn't make sense if it's just one big, enormously fat toad, and like somehow he has political power, despite the fact that the toad is not like an apex predator of any kind. And I didn't want to do. I like the alligator in the sewer trope. I didn't want to do that because it seemed too obvious. The toad
Yeah.
then became okay. So how does a toad control rats in a society underground? Bugs are also underground. Ants are a team insect. Something myconid mushrooms, queen. And then we got the Slime Baron, who's got mushrooms growing out of his back, and he's got the queen on his back, and just an army of surveillance state ants. And it's astounding even to me the enormity of character concept that sprouts spur of the moment. And I think it's one of these. I feel like it's one of those. It's like a great strength, but I feel like it is an enormous weakness and could hinder me in the future if like actual people with actual production value want me to DM for them, because I'm just gonna be making up so much shit on the spot.
Oh yeah, no.
Right?
Like, if you do look into behind the scenes stuff of people who have like minis and stuff, like Brennan Lee Mulligan has to be like he can't do as much, and when he does, he has to like in the second season, Escape from the Blood Keep, the like monster in the volcano that Mike like
That's second
summoned.
session.
Second. What did I say?
Season.
Yeah, season 2, Escape the Blood Keep.
No,
In the second session.
No, Escape the Bloodkeep only has one season.
Yeah, no, season 2 of Dimension 20.
Well, there's.
Because it went Fantasy High,
Oh,
Escape the
okay.
Blood Keep.
See, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, but
You're
also
thinking of
no.
each show, yeah.
But
I'm talking about
yes,
the
but
entirety
also
of
because the season 2 of Dimensions, because it's weird. I think it's weird to think of a D&D show to have seasons.
Yeah, because it's an anthology that isn't
Right.
like it only makes sense. Yeah, I just have this problem where because I like seeing the players grow, I have to watch the show in chronological order. So I've seen. I watched, obviously Fantasy High, Escape the Blood Keep, Unsleeping City, Tiny Heist. They're now into A Crown of Candy. I don't get to get sophomore year for a few more seasons.
Oh my god, A Crown of Candy is
Yeah.
so good.
I've only watched the first episode, and I'm already in love.
And so, in the effort of chronology, did you do the prequel series, The Ravening War?
I have not. No, I mean like in the order that the show was released,
okay,
like chronologically.
Gotcha.
Heads
Heads up,
I'm more interested...
you can skip Shriek Week.
I've been told. Um, but like I think yeah, like because I also think on the fly like no one's watched Saga, but to call back to Saga, there's a moment near the end of what we have actually out where your characters go into like a video game world, and I had been thinking for a while. I was like, I need the like because the big villain Anton. So far, he's at that point he's just a guy.
He's
Like you
just a
guys don't really know him.
Bezos.
Yeah, he's just a Bezos, and I was like, I need them to get more personal with this, so it feels more like there's emotional stakes. And I had not decided how I was going to do that yet. And then Zoe had said like, "Hey, isn't there like guys? There's another headset in the back," and I was like, oh, "Perfect." So like
And
Anton
then
was not going to be in the video game sections, and then
incredible.
and then yeah, and then you guys got to spend, 3 sessions with this like combative asshole, but you learned like, hey, he's a really good violin player. He's got a
Wow.
short temper. He's like
What an asshole.
yeah, he's still an asshole, but he's an asshole now,
He's
and
an
not
asshole
just
that
some
can
asshole.
play Fleur de Lis, I guess.
Yeah, no, it wasn't meant to make you like him, but now you
Right.
like know who he is. He's not just a guy.
Gotcha. Okay, now I do
Yeah,
now want to pivot to like our next topic for today.
this
You
is my pivot.
don't like the chosen one trope. Can you speak to that?
I really it's upsetting to me in a way. I feel like narratively, it's something that immediately sets you up for victory.
Or
Like
failure?
I hate the like or failure. I I like the prophes. I don't like the professorial kind of aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
The idea like you are the ones who are meant to save the world. Like I don't know when it comes to Trash Chronicles, like we weren't the ones who were meant to save the world. We were the people who happened to take Thrall Abdul back. Like,
Right.
and that set us up to ascend to a state of importance.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if that didn't happen, we weren't the chosen ones. We probably wouldn't have done anything. We were just a bunch of guys. Like,
Yeah,
uh,
I guess.
and yeah.
I mean, there's I think there's a fine like, especially in terms of chosen ones via prophecy. I think that I just this is just me, but the the specificness of a prophecy is a huge factor into whether or not I um like the chosen one, especially when it comes to a prophecy. To pull up an example of Emmett from the Lego movie.
What a fucking pull! Did you have that in your notes ready to go? Like talk
No,
about Evan?
honestly, I was gonna slap. I was gonna come at you with Poe, but instead, let me just quickly Google the prophecy from the Lego
While
movie.
you're looking it up. I think Poe is an interesting choice because I don't think he was chosen in like a cosmic sense. I just think life kind of ended up that way,
Well, no, there
and he
was.
rose to the occasion.
Mhm.
It was like there was like a but
But
Uguay. I'm
in the
not fully caught up on Kung Fu Panda lore, but
you've seen the first one, right?
I've seen the first one.
He is quite literally chosen by Uguay,
Yeah,
a spiritual
but
leader and all that, and there is a quote unquote
yeah,
sacred scroll that he's destined to pick up and learn
and it's
knowledge
just like
from
a
it.
mirror or whatever. Yeah,
And it kind of does get a little muddied with the second and third movie. I'm never gonna watch the fourth movie.
I've not
Bite
watched
me.
the third one.
You haven't watched the third one? It's
Yeah,
pretty
is it
good.
worth
It's
it?
it's all right. It's good.
Okay.
It's definitely not as good as the second one, but it's definitely better than the fourth one.
Okay, I've not
But
seen
I've
the
got
fourth
the
one. So
prophecy here from the Lego movie.
hit me with it.
One day, a talented lass or fellow, a special one with face of yellow, will make the piece of resistance found from its hiding refuge underground, and with a noble army at the hem, this master builder, Twarth the Craggle? Oh, Twart the Craggle. Thwart.
Thwart?
Oh, Thwart.
Thwart. I was trying so hard for you. Thwart?
And with a noble army at the helm, this master builder will thwart the Craggle and save the realm. and be the greatest, most interesting, most important person of all time. All this is true because it rhymes. Now,
Interesting.
Now, this is a speech given at the very beginning of the movie by Vesuvius, who is Morgan Freeman's character, and he is a wizard.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
And this is a very vague prophecy. It does not specify gender. It says one day a talented lass or fellow. It does not specify race besides Lego person. A special one with face of yellow. And then and the rest of this is basically just a wish of things he wishes would happen. Because at the very end of the movie, spoilers for the Lego movie, it's a great movie.
It's all made up. Lego movie. Get your life together.
He admits that the prophecy's all made up. But does that makes Emmett's journey any less special? I ask you this. He is a chosen one, but he also is not.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess what I'm getting at is I think it is a way better narrative device not to have been chosen to save the world, but to choose to save the world. I think that is the most poetic thing I've ever said. Hold on. I came out of my dome.
Cool.
But I think that now in that case, it's been a minute, but I believe that's part of the motivation in the story, and it's because he believes that he can do it. He does,
I think I can.
I think I can.
Oh, that's a good story about a train.
Sorry. Oops, the autism seeped into this D&D podcast.
Hey, we are recording this in the Autism Awareness Month, so shut your autism hole.
I'll have you know, I am quite aware of autism.
I have not been formally diagnosed.
I guess I haven't either.
Anyway, Emmett's motivation.
I was told I probably would be.
I believe Emmett's motivation for the majority of the film is to smash Wildstyle, if I'm correct. He doesn't really care about the prophecy.
It's kind of the same thing as Kung Fu Panda in a way.
Okay. Who is Poe trying to smash in the first Kung Fu Panda movie? If you say tigers, I'm gonna punch you.
That is the joke I was making.
Okay.
It's not, but
it's not. It's not Poe at all.
I'm just being that. Yeah, how dare I slander? I didn't realize how emotionally close you are.
Listen, there are very few movies I hold near and dear to my heart. Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon are two of them.
Those are very special movies.
The Lego Batman movie is also one that I hold very dear and dear to my heart.
The Lego movie also.
The Lego movie is good. I do not care for any of the other things that have come out of it. I think the original was good. I watched the Lego Ninjago movie, not to get too off track, but maybe we can tie it back in. It was alright. I didn't like that they threw out all of the original lore because I did grow up with the cartoon.
Same.
Yeah, but they threw out all the original lore and did their own thing with it, which was fun, but just not what I was expecting. Would you consider Lloyd a chosen one?
Who?
Lloyd Garmadon, the Green Ninja.
You mean Lloyd?
Answer the fucking question.
Oh god, I gotta remember my Ninjago where I was just being an asshole.
Wait, you don't know who Lloyd Garmadon is?
No, I do.
Okay.
I'm just trying to remember the exact lore. I could pick him out of a crowd. A crowd of Legos.
A crowd of
I remember exactly it. You gotta get past all the repression to remember everything about Lego Ninjago.
Right. So Lloyd in the cartoon starts as just Lord Garmadon's annoying brat, and he releases the Serpentine, and then eventually he gets chosen as the Green Ninja because throughout the whole season, all the four colored, the red, the blue, the white, and the black ninja, they're all like, I want to be the Green Ninja. I'm gonna be the best. But then Wu is like, this asshole right here. This bratty little shit. This fucker right here.
Picking him up by the back of his collar. This guy.
This is the Green Ninja. Actually, if I do remember correctly, all four of the golden elements reacted to Lloyd, and Wu was like, this makes sense. Garmadon is my brother. We are descendants of the original Spinjitzu master. He is the Green Ninja. And so in a sense, he is a chosen. I mean, there's not probably a whole lot of point in arguing Lloyd's chosen one status if you're not up to snuff with the lore.
I mean, that's enough for me to argue a little bit. I when I say I hate the chosen one trope, I'm obviously being reductive.
Mm-hmm.
I have a much more nuanced opinion on it. I don't just think it is always bad, always forever. I just think that it works best when it is something that is like a motivator to rise up. Like when Poe is chosen, he doesn't know shit about any martial arts, but by at least movie two, he has taken the time to learn and master. Um,
Yeah.
or I think another good example, of course, I don't know if Aang's a good example. Aang was already pretty naturally
Aang
powerful.
is definitely a chosen one. He's definitely a wunderkind,
Yeah,
but he
he
doesn't.
is.
He does
Yeah.
have struggles. Like every Avatar
Yeah.
struggles with the opposite element, and he did have that one episode where Sokka fell into a hole. Um,
Yeah, we've all been there.
we all been there. We all been in
Uh,
holes while our best friend tries to save the world by learning how to move Earth with his mind. It's all. It's all. It's a very.
yeah,
It's a
that's
childhood
life, baby.
experience. Um,
That's fundamentals. God, I remember the old days.
and if I remember
Um,
correctly, which I'm pretty sure I do, Aang's journey starts with learning the elements so he can defeat the Fire Lord, and then he like gets to this point where he's like, what does that mean to defeat the Fire Lord? And he has this big ethical dilemma
yeah,
about what does that mean? Does he kill the Fire Lord? His
yeah,
his heart, his like upbringing, like the last vestige of like air nomad culture is him, and there's a part of him that he would be throwing away. And I don't think anyone's talked about this or like put it into words, but I think a huge reason why Aang doesn't want to kill the Fire Lord is because he is like this last vestige of air nomad culture, and air nomads are notoriously pacifist. And that's
yeah,
not like killing the Fire Lord would probably in Aang's mind is giving up this final piece of his air nomad identity and fully subsuming himself to what the world wants him to be, as opposed to what he feels that he needs to be as the Airbender avatar.
yeah. And he is, in a sense, defying, not defying outright, but in a way defying what he was chosen for. Like, as far as everyone on the world is concerned, he was chosen to
Everyone's like,
kill
"Hey
Fire Lord
kid, kill
Ozai.
that guy,
Yeah, kill a man. Go
kill a
kill a
man!"
man.
Haha.
I think another good example is spoilers for Adventure Zone Amnesty. Uh,
Ooh,
but one of the main characters, Duck Newton,
Duck
his whole
Norton.
thing, Doc
I
Newton,
love Duck Norton.
is that he was chosen to like defeat the alien, the Sylvains, and things like that, like the monsters that came out of the portal. And he also like is an interesting character because he openly denied that, like, nah, I don't want to,
He rejected the
until he kind
call.
of
Yeah, the refusal of the
yeah.
call.
But not
I
only
like
that,
this. I like this example because it subverts the chosen one trait by not being like by taking the thing that did the choosing and making it
mhm.
bad, making it evil.
Yeah, and then by the end of the show, once he has kind of accepted it just out of necessity, it's revealed not only was he like he was chosen, but he wasn't chosen because he was the best option, just because he was within the range of where that lady was able to like send a signal.
Yeah.
It was more of a proximity thing than a you were the best, you are the one who was born like professorial, like it sounded at the beginning. He thought he was like chosen because he was it was fate, and in reality it was just that he was kind of nearby.
Which yeah,
And I think that's an interesting subversion in
it's
and
a
of itself.
great pull for your point because he starts with having receiving the call, refusing the call, taking up the call, realizing the call is from inside the house, uh,
Mhm.
and then, despite all of that, doing the right thing anyway, which is killing those
Yeah,
who called him in the first place.
yeah, and like yeah, he's not again well, he was a chosen one. I think it's more notable that he didn't accept that until he chose to save the world. Like,
Yeah,
and
it's
that comes
it's
back to my original point of like, I
it's
think it's much
the
more interesting to choose yourself than to be chosen.
right. It's that's like just like it's just a different way of saying, is it better to be born great or come overcome great obstacles to be great?
Hmm.
I don't think I think I butchered that saying a little bit, but we're just gonna keep on rolling with it.
to be born great or to rise to greatness. I don't know the
Rise
exact
to
saying, but
greatness.
rise.
Um,
We're just, we're just gonna turn into sound effects.
rise to greatness. Um, uh, dang. Just giving me a whole lot to think about. Because
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out whether or not I did a chosen one deal for Beastmasters. Because I kind of,
I am unfortunately not. I really do need to go back and listen, but I just
it's
haven't.
it's all right. I guess
It's
the
fine.
sound quality, and the editing is
I've heard the
minimal.
first episode.
And at a point, there's literally at a point I did dabble with PNG tubers, and that was creepy to
I
look at.
did see that in
That's not
old
great,
TikToks.
but I've
Yeah,
went away and have relied on my human flesh face. Aha!
but we've learned. Yeah, we've
We've
learned a
learned, we've
lot. I think
grown. I've grown
also
horns.
yeah. Now you have two voice actors on the show, so the sound quality's a little better.
A little better, yes.
Yeah,
Um,
I hate that that actually doesn't
is
look bad.
I look like I'm on the Jedi Council actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Jedi, I was actually just about to bring up Luke and Anakin Skywalker as chosen ones, and then if you want to, if we have time, we can talk about Rey a little bit.
Yeah, so actually, I have like an issue with that. I think that is one of my complaints about. I am overall not a the prequels are bad haters. I just kind of hate that they tried to quantify things more than they should have.
Yeah,
Because in the original, yeah, in the
I
original
can get
story,
behind
like,
midichlorians being dog water.
yeah, I don't think that was a great choice. But I do like the prequels. I don't get all of the hate, but I do
Mhm.
get that little bit. But like, in the original story, it doesn't really feel like Luke as a chosen one, neither is Anakin as a villain. They just kind of rose to those occasions, and like you can say that the familial bond to Anakin uh, is what caused like that rising, but until they are described as having high midichlorian counts and chosen ones, they don't really they just feel like people who rose to the occasion.
Hmm. I
Like,
I think it's an interesting case of a retro. I think Luke is a chosen one, but it's an interesting case of a retroactive chosen one.
yeah,
And
exactly. That's
a
yeah.
chosen one that has a chosen one mantle that has been passed down um like like a hereditary disease almost.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's become the thing. Like I was so ready to be pissed at Last Skywalker if it was revealed that Rhea was actually
A Skywalker,
uh
like
yeah.
familially.
And I don't hate the way they ended up tackling her being a Skywalker. I don't think it was necessary, but I can get behind it.
Yeah, she
Again,
like
I also
takes up the
don't hate the new
name.
movies. Yeah, I don't hate the new movies as much as they did. I did really like, and this shows the like with Rhea, I did really like that she was just a nobody in movie two. Like she was born to a family of scrappers, and then they kind of
Oh yeah,
retroactively,
we
and then
don't have to
yeah,
talk. We don't have to talk about the last one. That's fine. That's fine.
yeah,
We
and
don't have
like
to do that.
yeah,
Let's not.
I'm like if she was gonna be related to someone, her being a Palpatine isn't the worst choice. I think the worst choice would have been a Skywalker. But
I think I was always of the camp that it would be really cool if the first trilogy, the first two trilogies, or well, no, the first Harrow. I was in the camp that I would really love it if Rey somehow ended up being a Kenobi. I
yeah,
was in the Ben
me too.
Kenobi camp
That was a
for a bit. Yeah.
that was a pretty popular take, and I agree
Yeah.
with it. But like, I just would really like if the story stopped surrounding these three fucking families. Like, really, I'd prefer like some of the best stories I think in the Star Wars universe, like Deke Starkiller from Force Unleashed. I can't remember the name of the protagonist from Coder. Even Cal Kestis are more interesting stories in a lot of ways. Like even in the case like Deke Starkiller, who is an insanely powerful person, the fact that he was just some kid that Anakin was like, I like the
Some
cut of your
kid.
jib.
I like your moxie, child. Come and learn the dark side. I've got
You grab the
Nuka-Cola.
lightsaber.
I,
Ah?
do you like the way that feels in your hand? Do you like the way this feels?
Anyway, yeah, I think those are interesting stories because they're
So
not related to this fucking family again.
yeah. So in terms of what, makes, just kind of trying to put a nice bookend on this discussion. If you can't avoid, I mean, I don't see an instance where you can't. I don't see an instance where you can't avoid, like it's inevitable that you're gonna need a chosen one. But if you are gonna do a chosen one, what are things that you recommend don't do, in terms of when you're setting up the chosen one? I know that we've talked about the when it comes to prophecies, that vagueness is best and less
Yeah,
specific, and such and so on. Are there any other things that you think that you don't, chosen ones are bad, but if you must, don't
yeah.
do these other things?
So yeah, to put a pin on it, like I dislike the platonic idea of a chosen one. And I think any nuance added to that will make it better, almost no matter what the nuance is. If it's like the prophecy's vague, and it didn't really have to be you; it could have been anyone who happened to kind of meet that description.
Who happen to fall
I
into
think
a
it's a
hole
great
and get
touch.
a glue cap stuck to their back, or
Yeah,
just so
yeah.
happened to look at the scroll and see it was a reflective surface and take the right lessons from that?
Yeah, exactly. I definitely think that's a big part of it. I also think, especially in like a tabletop RPG game, do not say specifically what the exact actions they're going to take.
Right.
That is I
That's the cart
hate
before the horse. Absolutely.
yeah. I hate the players accusing GMs of railroading thing,
Oh my
especially
god.
since it's usually not the players itself, especially in like media. It's other people watching and be like, "Oh, I feel like that was really railroady." And like I've been in like actual railroaded games. What most of the time people are
It
complaining
wasn't mine,
about is
was
that
it?
they're keeping no.
Okay. Okay.
There is that there
Whew.
one of them was a TikTok creator, so I don't want to name them by name. But like the feeling of like truly your decisions don't matter. But a lot of times what people mean by railroading is that they're keeping the story vaguely centered around the plot.
Oh yeah. Heaven
Yeah.
forbid.
Yeah, like, could you imagine if in episode 3 of ES Pizza, we just got in the van and went on a road trip and stopped paying attention to paranormal stuff? Like,
Now here's what I would have done. I would have made it a paranormal road trip of some kind. I
exactly. And see, what you're
like
doing there is you're letting us kind of pick
have
our path,
agency, but
but you're
also
keeping the
I'm moving the
plot.
plot with
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I think that's not railroading.
Right. Plot is atmosphere. It's not a location.
Yeah,
Plot
like,
happens where the main characters are. The main characters
yeah.
aren't confined to the location where the plot is.
Yeah, exactly. Like if in ES Pizza we did that, or if in Saga, like I didn't know where you guys were gonna go.
Yeah,
You guys just kind of went.
I straight up got on a horse and ran off to find my uncle. And
Yeah.
that was bonkers on my end, and I apologize.
No, it's okay. I was prepared.
It was, of
But, like,
course,
yeah.
to segue, it was, of course, what my character would do. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
a question posed on the r/D&D subreddit. Can someone please explain the issue with the "it's what my character would do" issue? Not being that not being that ingrained into the D&D community, I often see or hear people hating on the above phrase. However, I'm struggling to work out why. For example, if you have a character that has a trait of being cowardly as a flaw, for them to run away from dire situations does fit in what their character would do. So why is the whole "it's what my character would do" phrase is so ingrained in a negative association? I'm trying to find T. Crumpen I believe is the author of this question on the D&D subreddit. And right off the bat, it's not the when people have a problem with the "it's what my character would do" excuse. It's usually something to do with actively and nigh maliciously tampering with the enjoyment of the other players at the table, whether that be the enjoyment of the dungeon master who had a thing that they wanted to do and they built it up really cool, like, or just active, like, being malicious, and in the case of someone being cowardly, choosing to run away when the more interesting character decision might have been staying and helping. So, like, being cowardly as a flaw is fine, and that's good. I think it would be awesome to play a coward. But the enjoyment from playing a character like that would be slowly working on and building up the courage. And as long as the being a cowardice is strongest at the beginning of the narrative and doesn't actively hinder everyone else's enjoyment of the game, there's nothing wrong with playing a coward.
Yeah.
What is your take on this hot goss?
So to address the first example they give before I kind of venture
Coward?
off, yeah, the coward. I think like running away once or twice, I think that's great. But I think an important part of D&D is that your character grows. So like if you were running away from end game fights still, it's like how
Right.
the fuck are you level 20?
Right,
First of all,
Strahd is right there. Get
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, and like I don't think that many parties would have a problem with like running away because you're cowardice, unless it was like a continual thing no matter the situation. I think a lot of what people use the hate on this is when people are again actively going out of their way to like harm other players. I think the classic example is the thief stealing everyone's stuff in the night, which takes away the enjoyment for the other players, but it's what my character would do. And I like you should not, and like I think that idea in a vacuum of like, hey, it's what my character would do. I do that all the time. Like I actively pick worse than strategic options because my character is not a
I
strategist.
sometimes get annoyed at you, but it's definitely what your character would do.
Yeah, and it's not even like I'm not trying to take away anyone's fun. I try like there are moments where I'm like, well, the smart thing would be to do this, but Ronnie is an idiot. Like he acts with his heart and not his head, and there's something to say about that. And I think he's definitely gotten smarter throughout the show. But like sometimes I'll make the dumb decision, but I'll never like kill a character because I'm stupid. Like I will.
I mean,
like,
you
I will
might
do my best.
accidentally.
Yeah, but like my point is like if I know the consequence would actively make someone not have fun at the table, I wouldn't do it.
There
and also,
was, there was a point pre the beginning of Trash Chronicles where me and James had been DMing back and forth about his character, and this is like before we like knew each other. Like I'd come across his videos and I invited him on a whim, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll go." I was like, "Holy crap!" So we were talking about his character, and I loved the idea of just always being out for the cop's head, like the one. I like him being the one good cop, and so I told him that I'm going to be actively trying to kill him every second of this campaign. And he was like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's fabulous." If he had said, "I would rather not that," I would have been like, "Okay, time to retool my whole campaign." And it's a good thing that we had this conversation before we started. If you don't know this, but Cardinal Saint Vincent or Louis Saint Cardinal, the NPC that you met at the beginning of the campaign, is actually his backup character.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's why I had him name him.
I had a backup thing in my head that's really fun. Like a thing in my back of my head that I abandoned early on, which is like when you introduce the character, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if Ronnie ended up with this character romantically by the end of the show? And as the show went on, I was like, I'm definitely not touching that. That's not what's going to happen. But like at the time, I was like, I thought it'd be so funny. Like it'd be a good, interesting narrative bit.
Hey, we haven't ended
we're not
Trash Chronicles yet, so anything could happen.
Weird to reveal this on a show that's coming out after but like in my head, Ronnie is a gay man. Like I don't think it's gonna matter in the story, but
Hey,
In my
that's
head,
cool.
Ronnie is.
Your religion is predicated on a very homoerotic film.
Yeah, exactly.
The Good
No,
Burger.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think his. Yeah, I didn't want to like. I haven't brought it up because I don't think it's really mattered to the story, and like I don't think his religion is homophobic. I think his religion has no strong
Yeah,
morals
it's
on sexuality. But
yeah, it's more or less
yeah,
your religion
so
is basically just an extreme diet.
yeah, exactly. Like yeah, his thing like yeah, it's not like a Christian Applebee's situation where like because they wanted to explore Applebee's that goes anyway, like Christian Applebee's in the at least in the first year of Fantasy High, like their religion is like against homosexuality because that's the story they wanted to tell. I didn't really care about that, and this is not the story I'm trying to go for, so it just hasn't come up because it hasn't been like a point of contention.
Hey, and that's
But
the best
yeah.
kind of representation, honestly.
Yeah, he's
The
just passively a
representation
gay
like
character.
passively gay. We need more passively
Yeah.
gay characters. Like
Yeah, and like
and
someone might be like, "Well, how come you haven't shown up?" Like, I don't know, we haven't done anything romantic. in
ask
that
a
story.
random stranger on the street whether or not they're gay. Some
Yeah.
gay guys will be into that, but most people will tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Also, like we haven't done any romantic plot, let alone like a straight one or a gay one.
I mean, there's
Like,
a little
the
bit, there's a
closest
little
we've had
flirty
is
thing going on between Sam and Miss Missy.
to loop it back around. Yeah. So
There's like a
wow,
little
yeah,
bit of a, there's a
distracted by
little
gay
bit.
Ronnie.
Okay, so here's another thing. I've only hinted at this, but Dandy Jack really likes Miss Missy, but Miss Missy's kind of got a thing for Sam,
yeah,
which is cute
I've seen
because
that.
she's a cat and he's a bird.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like to anyone who would like hate on the little representation, like in my head, if I was gonna romance any character we've met, it would be Chewie. I've not talked to Crit about that. I have no plans on it, but like there have been some homo-romantic implications between these two.
Yeah, you caught him. I had to draw
I caught
it.
him. I think I had like Ronnie as a clear admiration for Chewie.
Yeah,
Like,
you believe that Chewie can't do anything despite numerous evidence of the contrary.
yeah, and also I think a lot of what it is like I think the religious story I have been telling is that Ronnie is like unsure about his religion as things have been challenged and things like that. And in a way, he's sort of like jealous of Chewie because Chewie has found the thing he likes and he likes doing it. So he looks up to Chewie in that way.
And that is very much what your character would do.
Yeah, and that's exactly
Exactly
And
what
yeah,
you
to
do.
loop it back around, like yeah, and like if Crit had come to me and been like, "Hey, I hate this bit that you're doing," I'd be like, "Okay, I'll stop doing the."
And this is why communication, like in between players, is very important. Like if there's someone doing something, if someone's doing something and they're using the excuse of it's what my character would do, but you've actively said I don't like this. This is making me uncomfortable. This is the time when you discreetly ask the dungeon master for a Pokeball with an Eldritch Black Dragon inside, so you can kill them.
Yeah,
you can do that. My powers as a wizard, parallel to the flow of time. I can give you this item for free. It's a little Pokeball, and inside there's an Eldritch Black Dragon, and then you can use that to kill the character who's being an asshole.
Yeah, and then like also to like I think something that really helps us avoid like those, but it's what my character would do, like fun breaking moments, is that after every session we talk a little bit, we chat a little bit.
Questions,
and
comments, concerns. Yes, sometimes I've
like,
done it once or twice, like on camera.
Yeah, because we forgot to stop recording or something. But like for example, I don't remember exactly what it was. But like in season 1, there was like a moment where Blaze afterwards was like, "I do genuinely feel like my decisions didn't matter."
Yes, because
and then like we moved on, we fixed it. Like I don't remember the exact situation.
He made a roll because we were doing the flashback kind of Assassin's Creed type thing where you were inhabiting your ancestors for the thing.
Yeah.
And he made a roll about getting a physicist on there and he to get like answers as to what was going on an astronaut, and he rolled really well, and so I had to give him something. Now my brain spat out Neil deGrasse Tyson, who wouldn't have been alive at the time, and so I completely blanked, and I was like, Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't know anything, and I was like, fuck. and, and so he rightfully came up to me like
Yeah.
afterward, and he expressed that, and I did apologize, and I
Yeah.
hope I've been better. I've been trying to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
better.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't like. I think it was a little mix-up. I think we like. No, I don't think anyone was mad at you. I don't think Blaze
It
was.
was definitely a snafu in my improvisational
Yeah.
tenure.
Yeah, yeah. But like, everyone makes little mistakes. No one's trying. You weren't trying to upset anyone. I
Right.
don't think anyone was mad long term. It was like, hey, I
I
didn't
mean, he's
really
not
like
playing
that. And
with
you're
us
like, oh,
anymore,
I
so I
don't.
don't know.
Yeah, but that's not
I know.
why. Like,
I know. I'm just being a little asshole.
yeah. No, it's because the schedule didn't work for him. But
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I bet he would have loved to play. You know what? I think he probably, if he was going to be on this season, he probably would have chosen, because I think he would have chosen to be part of the Raccoon Mob, because I've had this idea. I still play with him, and
Yeah.
Fallen, Mondays are Divine with the boys. We're still doing that at the time of this recording. And on stream, I've had this long-standing idea in my head of a jukebox musical of Queen music that follows the story of gay gangsters in a feud war. And he says, I love everything about that. So I think if he was going to be in Trash Chronicles, he would have chosen to be a raccoon alongside Chewie, which I think would have been really fun to do, but unfortunately, just didn't work out.
If we do Trash Chronicles season 2, I'm going to be an annoying owl. I think between the Oracle and between our Pokemon streams with Hoot Hoot, I can't not
Oh
be
my god! I never finished that Nuzlocke.
Yeah, I think
so
Hoot Hoot
upset.
was. I think Hoot Hoot was the preamble to the Oracle.
Oh my god. Hoot hoot!
The Oracle? Did you give it a pun name, or was he just the Oracle?
Well, his name is, I believe, is House, or
Yeah.
it's one of the I think it's House, because How is moving castle, but also who, what, when, where, why, and how, and he's an oracle, so he tells you
Yeah.
how shit happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
or something like that.
Yeah.
Something.
Hoot Hoot walked so that the Oracle could run.
Well, Hoot Hoot in Nuzlocke was just me straight up ripping off Hootie from the Owl House. So
Yeah,
all
fair
art
enough.
is derivative. If you learn
Yeah.
nothing from anything ever, is when you watch stuff, everything is inspired by everything else. It is the permutations between iterations that create variety.
Yeah, it's okay to be inspired by something. It's okay to be inspired by multiple things. Even better.
It's okay to
not
be
okay
inspired by
copy
me.
something.
It is especially good to be inspired by me. Get inspired, you dumb fuck.
I think the lesson of 2023 is don't do a Summerton. I think that's
What's
what we all learned.
Well, it's a summertime.
Oh, do you not know about plagiarism in YouTube? So there's this YouTuber named H Bomber guy. And every time he drops a video essay, lately he's been doing it like once a year. It's like the thing. So last year he did a thing that was started about 2022. He made a video that was, or maybe the beginning of 2023, that was about started about the Roblox sound effect, and then it went on for an extra hour after that. About the insane lying creator of owner of that sound effect who lies about everything, Tommy Tallarico.
This is already
this year,
very dense.
Yeah, this year he made a video about plagiarism, and he talked about a bunch of different things. So he talked about the Illuminati stuff, right when it was coming out. He talked about the Internet Historian had a video that was basically plagiarized for the whole thing. He talked about a bunch, and then he spent an hour, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, talking about a guy named James Somerton, who I actually already knew, who made video essays about queer culture and media and things like that. And it turned out pretty much all of it was plagiarized from other queer creators.
That sucks.
And it blew up. Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So that
You know what?
affected a lot.
I was having a conversation with myself while I was drawing today. And I was talking to myself about, I do this. I talk to myself. I'm a crazy wizard perpendicular to the flow of time. I talk to myself. I was talking to myself about how I got where I am and my art journey in terms of drawing, and I reminisced about how much of my skill has improved just by tracing. There is a certain threshold of adding shit to a traced image that makes it a new thing. Not to say that you should trace something and pass it off as your own work, that is something completely different. But if you
Yeah.
trace something and you make an exact copy by tracing, that is a private piece of practice material that you do for yourself, and you don't share that with anyone. But if you trace parts of it and you take those techniques and incorporate them into a new piece, that anyone who says that's like bad doesn't understand how hard it is to learn to draw any other way.
Yeah, I think tracing is a good learning tool. I don't
Right.
think it's a good, like, you shouldn't class it off into your own. You shouldn't try to make money off of it.
Like,
And unfortunately, there are a lot of people do that. But
yeah, when I draw, I use an app that gives me access to 3D models, and I post those 3D models and the pose that I want, and then I straight up trace over that. But those are blank
yeah,
3D models. That is a tool that I use.
yeah, you are still,
So what I want to get at with this podcast is that tropes in fantasy and in media, they are the 3D models that we trace over. They are the straight edges that we use, but ultimately we are taking these tools and we are scrambling them up in the big old egg scrambler blenders in our heads, and we're dipping them out into the world and saying, hey guys, check out my unique blend of all this bullshit. It was inspired by this bullshit I drank when I was a child. Isn't this great bullshit? Taste my bullshit, please.
Yeah, and I think so. Like, I know it's a meme, and I love the jokes about it. But I strongly dislike when people actually show up to my table and are playing a pre-existing character.
Oh,
like not like
like when someone shows up
like this,
and they're playing a monk and it's Goku.
Yeah, something like that, where it's like it's not like based on Goku. It is a character named Goku.
Canon-ass Goku.
Yeah, those, and that happens a little too often. Like, that's the meme online. Like, hey, I want to make this character who does this thing, and like, are you just making Hank Hill? And they go, maybe. Like, that's a funny meme. But if someone actually showed up with Hank Hill, I'd be like, come on. Like,
if someone was gonna do that for like a non-publicized like game, like it's a private game between friends, and it's like a meme game, and everyone's doing something similar or whatnot, I think I don't see any problem with that. But here's something about me: the majority of Dungeons and Dragons and TTRPG that I've played has been recorded and publicized in some way.
Which is such a weird. Like,
It is I'm starting to realize how weird of a journey that I've particularly taken.
Yeah, because again, like I don't know, I've been playing deep, but like at my point in life now, I would say about maybe a third to like 3/5 of all the D&D I do is recorded. But like I grew up with so much D&D experience before that, like that I just play, and it's like got to a point like I play a game on Saturdays, and the other day they were like, I feel like we should start recording this, and I was kind of like, I don't want to do that because that's not what I'm doing here. I already record like games.
That makes sense.
And also I think it's very interesting.
Local friends to just do, it would be hard for me to get like days off from work. I already get Thursdays off for our thing. But
and that's
would be nice to do. Be nice.
That's another thing, like especially since I know so many people on TikTok, like friend of me, I don't know, a friend of the show, but I assume Bradley Jenkins.
Oh, I haven't talked to Bradley in ages.
We occasionally chat, but when we were closer, sometimes I'd be like, hey, do you want to do this thing? And he goes, yeah, do you want to like stream it or something? I'm like, no, I just want to play a game with you.
Yeah, he's really on that grind set, dog.
Yeah. Listen, and I can commend, and he got better over time. But like, that's always the thing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like characters that are just like, I don't mind something being similar. Like, to call back to your roots, during an Adventures in Initiative one shot I was in.
Yeah.
I played a blood hunter who was very Witcher inspired, so I jokingly called him Gerald O'Rivia, but it wasn't actually Geralt.
The reference at that point because I hadn't seen the Netflix show.
Yeah, well, I was already a big but his name, and that's like a playful bit, but I wasn't playing literal Geralt.
Yeah, beat for beat, you weren't Geralt, you were inspired. Yeah. Geralt light.
I was an edgy blood hunter.
Excellent.
Introducing Geralt Light.
There was going back to Adventures in Initiative, which is a great show run by very cool people.
I
one of
was
the
in it
first
once.
characters, one of the characters that I played, at one point, I was playing Alexander, a knockoff of Alexander Anderson from Full Metal, from Hellsing Ultimate Abridged, which is an interesting thing that we can trace it to. We see, we have first the original works of Dracula. Then we have the works where the Hellsing works where Hellsing becomes more popular of a character and whatnot, and then we get
Mhm.
the original manga, and then we get the original anime, and then we get the abridged, and then we have
And then we get
me
Goon.
inspired by that. So it's like it's truly an evolution of ideas and concepts that make things great. When it comes to creating new things, and especially when it comes to creating characters for, live action role play, TTRPGs, and especially Dungeons and Dragons. I just have, I have one more question here by, let's see, that's a weird name. It's Potrep the Orange, and he says,
Good for them.
why is your title The Unending? Why didn't you pick a color like a normal ass wizard? And why do you suck and you smell bad and everything about you is weird? Topek the Orange, I ain't part of your system, okay? I'm unending, dog. I jump perpendicular to the normal flow of time. I can be unending if I want. I don't have to pick some stupid ass color like orange. Orange? You want to be the orange wizard? White, I get. Gray, okay. Blue, absolutely. Brown? Hell yeah. Orange? Are you joking me? Get out of my sanctum, you whack ass wizard.
My cloak looks orange in your camera.
Well, it looks red over on my end, so maybe it's a difference.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. Hey, that would have been really weird if this entire time you looked orange and I ended on a segment knocking someone for being an orange wizard.
My cloak's red, to be clear.
This cloak is red, yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you so much for teleporting in with your nether stone, your obsidian construct, and or fumes of burning stone. It's been a delight.
Yeah, I could be in a coma right now.
Yeah.
Not sir.
No, but like actually you're in a coma and your dog misses you. I'm gonna need to wake you up, okay?
This
This has been the Cosmic Book Club. I need you all to know that I will never die. Good night.